Sorry, I just got out of the shower a little while ago. I want to talk to you about something that I've not talked about before. I've told you so many secrets. What's one more, right? Hang on, I just need to move a bit here. This isn't so much a secret. It's just something I've not told anyone about. And I was watching one of my friend Wendy's videos, and I'll link her channel down in the description. I'll try to remember. I'm not always so good at that. But she was talking about some personal matters in regard to her mother, and it made me realize there's something I want to share with you all, if for no other reason than to help you avoid what I've been through and what I go through every day. My mother started getting weak, tired, lethargic. She went to the doctor, and they discovered that she had blockage in her heart, and that she would need a bypass. If you don't know what that is, look it up online. They made it sound like it would be very routine. We were not worried at all. We were at first, but the doctor reassured us that he did dozens of these a week, and that they always went without a glitch, and that people went on to live very healthy lives. Well, before the surgery, my mother went in for a test. I was going to take her in to have a blood test done, and there were some other tests they were going to do. During the test, they realized that the blockage was much worse than they had thought, and they immediately hospitalized her. While we had just gone shopping before we went there, we'd had a nice day. This was a complete shock. They immediately took her into surgery. Just before she went to surgery, she asked me to go home, then pick up some other clothes and her makeup and things like that. Some jewelry. That was my mother. And I said okay, but I didn't, because she was going into surgery, for goodness sake, and I was the only family she had, right? There. Well, she ended up in recovery for 7 days. In the ICU, for 7 days. They couldn't take her off the respirator. She couldn't breathe on her own. And every time she would come to, she would try to pull out her IVs, and she wasn't quite herself. Sorry about, yes, I know I always say I'm going to cut my hair, and work has been insane, and then I got sick, so you get this for now. But so she ended up in ICU for 7 days. Then they did move her into a room on the ICU floor. They kept her there. This was in Dallas, Baylor Hospital in Dallas. And she kept getting worse. What turned out, she got a yeast infection. Then she got a staph infection. She was in there for weeks and weeks and weeks. After I came home, the hospital called. So I came home, this was a week. I'd been home a couple of times in between. I don't mean to suggest that I didn't. With the animals, I had to come back. But one particular day, I think this was day 49, 48, 49 in the hospital. I'm not joking. They called, and they're encouraging me to take her off of the respirator, because she's still completely on the respirator, not breathing on her own. She's had infections, her organs are shutting down. And I knew that my mother had a DNR, do not resuscitate, but she also had a living will and the other thing that's not coming to me now. My memory has started going on me. Anyway, or she didn't have a do not resuscitate. Excuse me, I quoted that incorrectly. She just had the living will and a medical power of attorney, which she gave to me. But what she did, the cruelest thing that she did, and I tell you this because this is the part I want you to learn from. When they asked me on the phone whether or not I wanted to turn off the machine, I was like, well, of course not. I was thinking she was going to get better. She just went in for a routine bypass. Why are we turning off machines and ending her life, right? And I said, well, my mother has a living will that says what she wants to have happen. Again, she didn't have a DNR. That was my mistake a while ago. What she put in her living will, so to speak, was my son will know what to do. I had no idea what to do. We'd never discussed this. The only thing we'd ever discussed is that she didn't want to go into a nursing home, which I would never do. But we never talked about this. I talked about it many times, about what I want. If I'm ever vegetative, I want that machine turned off. I'm serious. If I'm dependent on a machine and I can't make that decision on my own, I want to be shut off. So if any of you out there ever are my power of attorney, remember that. But she wouldn't discuss it. She didn't like discussing death. I, on the other hand, doesn't bother me at all, and I actually find it somewhat entertaining, odd as that is. But she said my son will know what to do. That was what she put in it. I had no idea. And they were pressuring me to take her off life support. That it was cruel to keep her on life support at this stage, with her organs shutting down, with her unable to breathe on her own, with the yeast infection and the staph infection. I had some of her family some of her Oklahoma family, and they would call and check on her, and they did do that. I called and told them when she went to the hospital and stuff, and some of them would call. Some would say, don't you dare turn her off. That's God's decision when her life ends. And I had other people, other families saying, and friends saying, you should turn it off. It's cruel to keep her alive, like the hospital was saying. I could not decide what to do. At that time, my partner was still alive. And again, it was directed back to me. That's your decision. I never felt that was my decision. She made it my decision. And if we'd ever discussed it and she'd said to me, I want you to make that final decision, I suppose I would have accepted that and went with it, but we never had that discussion, and I felt it was thrust upon me. Eventually, on day 55 in the hospital, they called me on my cell phone. I was down in the cafeteria, and they called me on my cell phone, and they said that her kidneys were now shutting down. And that to keep her alive, they'd have to put her in a nursing home, that she'd have to remain on a respirator, then go on a dialysis machine, and that she may even be brain dead at this point. This is what they told me. So I made the decision that she wanted me to make, I can only assume. And that was to let her go. And I can tell you that not a day of my life has passed since then, and it's now been 15 years. Every day, at least once a day, I feel like I murdered my mother, that I ended her life. And if I think about it too much, anyway, okay, so I've got to stop that. I tell you this because please don't make your children or your spouses or your parents or your children or your grandchildren or your aunts or your uncles or your nieces or your nephews or your best friend or your worst enemy. Don't make them make this decision. It will haunt them for the rest of their lives. Please, please talk to them. Tell them what you want to have happen. It'll make their lives better because they'll know that you're going to do what they want. It'll make your life better because you'll never question the way I question. It's better now. I want to be honest with you. I don't stress as much about this as I used to. But just a few years ago, I felt like a murderer. And even though the voice in my head says, you didn't murder her, she was dying, and you took her out of misery. Did I? So I only share this with you. I know this is a soaping channel, and I try to keep the personal stuff to a minimum. But like I said, I saw Wendy's video, and it just made me think that this is something I had to share with you all. I'm not a great educator, and I don't want to preach at you. Yeah, I do. About this, I do. I do want to convince you to please get a power of attorney, a medical power of attorney. It's right on the tip of my tongue what it's called, a durable medical. I don't recall what it is, but at the end of this video, I'll remember it and I'll put it on the screen. But a durable power of attorney. See, this is why I should look things up before I start one of these videos. Make it legal, okay? Talk to your family. I know it's a hard subject to discuss. It is. For so many folks, I know it is. But please do. For your family. If it's hard for you to talk about death, talk about life. Talk about their lives. Talk about in 20 years. I'm probably not going to be here, but I want you to have your best life. In order for you to have that best life, I want to discuss with you some things that I would like to have happen to give me the good death, not a bad death. And when I say that, I mean for you. I want my death to be a good death for you. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to necessarily celebrate, although some people will. But I want you to know that you did the right thing, that you did what I wanted. And if you ever feel like discussing that with me, I'm here to discuss that with you and to be that for you as well. That's it. So I hope you found something in this. I want to thank you all. I am going to do the contest winner video tomorrow or the next day. It's been crazy week at work. I've had today off, but I've still been working. I've so much to do, I kind of got behind in things. So listen, you take care. Know that you have a friend here. If there's anything you need to talk to me about, send me an email. I'm slow at emails right now. I am so far behind in my work emails. 900 people. So there are a lot of emails. So I'm really slow in responding to my YouTube emails, and I apologize for that. But I will try to get to them when I can. I'm sorry. Thank you all so very much. You're great people, and I'm really glad you're part of my life. So from Barry, from Stevie the squirrel, from the frogs, and from everyone else here at Soapy Oaks Farm, thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.